Well, to give you guys an update on the 85 Olds, we're dealing with a few little minor, hiccups. And believe me, she's hiccuping pretty good here. I believe the carburetor is dirty, or the fuel pump is just no longer delivering sufficient amount of fuel anymore. The engine stalls a lot. It ran quite poorly on the way over here, and well, I've decided I'm just going to stop driving it for the time being because actually I blew a brake line. A brake line did let go. I'll show you where. Of course, it's in the typical spot. They all went here at one point or another. Way in down there, there's a metal clamp that is actually, well, it's a clamp with a bolt through the middle of it that actually bolts to the frame, and there's about that much of rusty material, and it has let go in behind the clamp. So, a lot of flotsam and jetsam has sat in there, and it caused it to corrode, so now there's a hole in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace both of them. I'm not going to replace these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dismantle these and dismantle it at, there's like a, I don't know what exactly you call it. I think it's just there's an electrical pigtail way down there, and I think it's just like a pressure switch. It's basically like a diverter. You have your brake fluid that goes all the way down here, and then it goes into this like diverter thing. I don't know what it's called, but it like goes into that, and then it from there it goes to the opposite side of the wheel there, and then to this side, and then all the way to the back rear brakes. So, and then there's an electrical wire that plugs into this diverter or whatever device you want to call it, which basically tells you if there's a problem with your brakes. So when there's pressure loss, I guess the brake light will come on, because it's not like a traditional master cylinder where there's an electrical connector in here that just tells you, well, if the brake light comes on, then you know the master cylinder is just low. Like, it doesn't work like that with this. It actually, the switch functions down that way to actually make the light work. So I'm going to dismantle it here and down there, and I'm just going to cut out about a foot on both brake lines and just replace that. And the fuel line issue, I kind of have that rectified. I figured, there was a big large kink in the line, and which led me to believe that maybe that's the problem. And I drove the vehicle all the way home last night. Ran great, filled it up on the res, came back the next morning, and it ran like crap. So I'm assuming it's going to be a weak pump. I also hear a large substantial amount of vacuum loss somewhere here in the intake, so either an intake manifold gasket is leaking or the gasket at the base of the carburetor. Now, I went at it today and I decided to try and see if the bolts were actually loose at the carburetor. They in fact were. They were very loose, so I torqued them down to, I don't know, 100 inch-pounds. I didn't go any more than that. I do believe they call for 144, but anyway, I took a look at that, and that was not the case. It didn't rectify the issue whatsoever. So I have to take a look into that further. And then the brake line issue happened just today as well, so this engine is not running very well. And it runs rough. There's an exhaust hanger down below the vehicle that's actually rattling as well, so I figured I'd just, park it and just leave it for now until I figure out what else is going on. So that's pretty well an update on what has happened with it. It sucks. It really does. Because I was just starting to enjoy driving this unit. There's no rust on the vehicle. Just minor surface. The undercarriage is absolutely beautiful on this thing. It's just minor little stuff like this. So There is one little area here in yonder that no hole on this side. Actually, there is a tiny one up in here, but I'm just gonna cut this out, sandblast it, and put a patch in there. I mean, the original paint is still in here. Like, I mean, it is good in here, but there is a small little hole on the opposite side as well that I'm gonna touch up. Looks like the bottoms of the doors, little surface rust there, so I'm gonna clean that up as well. I'm gonna remove all this oil and touch that up. Alright, so without touching the brakes, I'm gonna try and back this vehicle up over there so I don't lose any more brake fluid. I'll start the engine up for you guys, and I'll let you hear it run and sputter and cough, and you guys can make assumptions of your own on what it is in the comments section, because I love hearing stuff like that. Oh man, oh man. Almost sounds like there's a dead cylinder. I'm gonna try and use the park brake. I don't want to lose any brake fluid because it's actually spraying it across the exhaust manifold, so oddly enough, it's idling on its own, but it's very rough. Actually hear that vacuum leak. I guess that's where the rattle's coming from. Well, oddly enough, it's idling a little better. But you can definitely hear it sputtering. Could be starving for fuel. Could be a dirty carb. Could be a lot of things. Needs an exhaust system by the sound of that. Plus the exhaust leak. Plus the hole in the muffler. Oh well. Sooner or later I'll get it. Sooner or later.